Hello again, and welcome back to another daily technical analysis video. In this video, we'll be covering Ethereum. So as we've discussed previously, we have been going on a pretty strong uptrend towards the upside. And again, we are still targeting that $3,800. And that is because of our triangle pattern that we recently broke out of. I say recent, but it's actually been what, like a couple days? More than a couple days. It's been almost 2 weeks. It's been almost 2 weeks since our breakout of this bottoming pattern. This is a symmetrical triangle. Typically it's a continuation pattern, but in this case it broke up, so we played towards the upside. Now we are right underneath that resistance of the daily R2, so we want to see whether we do get that strong closure above it to continue to the upside. In general though, I am holding on to swings to that target to see what happens at this level. Not only is it the triangle target, but it's also the daily R3 as level resistance. Now as for our momentum, it is strong towards the upside. Looking at the RSI, it is rising up and it's in the bullish territory and still has a lot more room to develop into the overbought territory. So I'm not too worried about that. Not only is the RSI rising, but the 50 moving average blue here is positive as it's rising towards a 2 o'clock angle, crossed above the 50, and still again has room to develop towards the upside. Now as for the stochastics, we are already in the overbought territory, but that's a good sign for the bulls. It just means that because of our strong trend here, this simply means that the bulls are taking over. They got a lot more space to develop and they're strong, so it could hover in this region for a while. Okay, so just because there's a cross, it doesn't mean that we're over. For example, back here, right here, we've had that cross right here at the October of 16th. So if we pull out the 16th of October, the price action did take a small dip because of that cross, but we were in that overbought territory, and inevitably we went all the way up to here, right? If you just exited here, you would have lost that 40%. So simply put, this just means that we have bullish strength. So there could always be retracements in between, kind of like this retracement right here. So we want to pay attention to whether we can find levels to repurchase, to buy and increase our position. That's what it would be. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just what I would be doing, and this is for educational purposes only. Again, I'm watching this as a resistance. And now one thing that I do want to point out is that this white 10 EMA is kind of far from the price action here. Right, so there could potentially be a small little retest or even just like a consolidation for it to catch up before continuing. But as of right now, we can't really say much because we still got 8 hours, essentially 9 hours on the day to see what happens at this level of resistance. Right now, if I pull out some daily levels, we did break the previous level here, and we've not really had any retest. Now, when we broke the daily R1 here, I would have expected some sort of retest to come back down, but now that we've broke above this next level, again, we got to wait for the daily closure. The next level, we could ignore the retest here and see a retest around this level instead. But if we do close above that daily R2, then this would be kind of like invalidated and it'd look for a retest of that daily R2 instead. So what that means is just because typically your resistance becomes support and you would see a break and retest of it, if it breaks another level, then it could retest that level instead, and so on and so forth, right? So we're still pretty strong. Now it does look pretty exponential. So again, we want to pay attention and be careful and watch to see how it reacts to levels of resistance and as to whether it does get rejected or not. Now moving down to our lower time frames, we see obviously we've been strong with our EMAs in the 2 o'clock angle as well, so that's bull strength. One thing I want to see is that 200 red EMA cross above that 377 blue EMA, which would add more confluence towards the upside and even more strength, because typically once there's a cross, there's more strength towards the upside. Now again, similar to the daily time frame, our 4-hour stochastics is in that overbought territory and therefore has room to expand towards the upside. But it would be nice again to get some sort of reset, just like a consolidation, so that we can see further expansion towards the upside. As of right now, what it looks like is a simple break and retest of this hourly R2. You see the wick has gone through there for the day so far, so we could see that long towards the upside, which is why I had this position here. Now if we look at our RSI, it is still bullish. It did re-enter this channel that we previously broke out of, and maybe breaking from the top, but it's kind of a little choppy, so I would get rid of it. One thing I do want to pay attention though is that this is a potential bearish divergence with the RSI peaking and coming down while the price action is peaking and rising upwards actually. So right from this to this, we could potentially see a bearish divergence, but I cannot say so until the 4-hour has closed and actually confirmed that it is. Now, if it does happen, it could just be a smaller retest. Typically, at least the 0.55 Fibonacci is hit, at least from the previous impulse. So we could see a fallback down to 33, 34, 3400 around there for a potential buy up or a retest before continuing to the upside. But again, if we are seeing that bearish divergence and we do see that price action fall down, I want to pay attention to how the stochastics plays out and as to whether we are just a consolidation, and see how we can play from there. But as of right now, it's too early to say anything, and what we can say is just that break and retest and potentially up to the HR3 at 3600 is the next target. Okay, now as for the downside for safety though, in order for us to kind of break this downtrend, we have to be breaking this level down here, the body closure here at quadruple 3, 3,333. Okay, if we break and close below here, then we might be seeing a bigger reset, potentially of a retest in the daily time frame that we were looking for, and therefore we could see lower levels to be hit. Now the next level I would be watching for not only is the hourly R3, but it would be the $3,100, which is the peak right here, as well as it's close to in confluence with that 55 yellow EMA, right? Given time, because it's not going to just dip right away, this EMA could definitely rise up to the 3,166 level. But even then, this would be a range of support because it is our hourly pivot. Now, do keep in mind that we've gone 3 consecutive weeks with that rise in that pivot, right? So we are obviously towards the upside, and we are bullish, and we got the trend following that as well, right? So as of right now, I'm still targeting that 3,800, and we're just paying attention to the lower levels to potentially see some plays towards the upside, whether it be scalps or just re-entry longs for that target. But that's it for this video. I hope you learned something from it. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.